Hey everyone, my name is Wedge and we're moving right along with our Best of the Rest series. In this video we'll be talking about the black cards from Journey into Nyx that weren't covered in individual spoilers. Our first card is Agent of Erebos, 4 mana for a 2/2 enchantment creature zombie with Constellation. Already like it. Whenever it or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, exile all cards from target player's graveyard. Wow, Erebos just really doesn't like graveyards. The card's interesting. 4 mana 2/2s are never all that exciting by themselves, but the trigger is a hate card against Reanimator, Scavenge, Dredge, or anything else you can think of that uses the yard. The only thing holding me back from really liking this card is that Rest in Peace is a thing that isn't seeing a ton of play right now. Even if it does pick up, it's rotating in a little bit. There are going to need to be replacements. Agent is expensive, but he could be an interesting choice. We'll see. Aspect of Gorgon is 3 mana for an enchant creature aura. Enchanted creature gets +1/+3 and Death Touch. A black aura that gives more toughness than power. Always like to see that. This is such a defensive card. From the 3 toughness to the Death Touch, it's all about stabilizing the board and holding out. I like this for a slower blue-black limited control deck. Nothing makes your opponent want to attack less than staring down something with snakes for hair. Blood-Crazed Hoplite is 2 mana for a 2/1 human soldier with Heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets him, put a 1/1 counter on him. Whenever a 1/1 counter is placed on him, remove a 1/1 counter from target creature an opponent controls. What a hoser! This is one of those cheeky cards that might see play in super aggressive black-red decks post-rotation. Right now, his ability is great for limited and block. There are going to be heroic creatures all over the place. If you can enable this guy and take something away from your opponent, that could have a much bigger impact than you think. Cast into Darkness, besides having an awesome name, is 2 mana for an enchantment creature aura. Enchanted creature gets -2/-0 and can't block. This is just embarrassing. Put this on anything with 2 power, and it's essentially running into a brick wall over and over again for the rest of the game. That's just funny. I don't even care who you are. Think about that for a second. That's hilarious. Cruel Feeding is 1 black mana for an instant with Strive, costing 3 more to cast for each creature targets beyond the first. Any number of target creatures each get +1/+0 and lifelink until end of turn. The card's alright. We've seen better Strive in other colors, but the fact that it's only 1 black mana does enable Heroic really easily. Not only that, but 4 mana total could be okay to double enable Heroic or gain some life. This is a weird card. I'm not actually sure where I stand with this. All I know for sure is that art is disgusting and makes me want to vomit. Deadbringer Lampads is 5 mana for a 4/2 enchantment creature Nymph with Constellation. Whenever it or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gains Intimidate until end of turn. Situational unblockability can be good. 5 mana for a 4/2 is not something I'm all that excited about. The ability is alluring, but there's just so much cost there. I will say that most of the time it'll take something big down with it. 4 power tends to do that. The card's okay. Feast of Dreams, which should have been the name of my heavy metal band, is 2 mana for an instant. Destroy target enchanted creature or enchantment creature. Boom! Staple in draft, block. This could see sideboard play in standard depending on where we end up in a few months. It's just good. It hits anything with an aura on it or anything with Constellation. Considering so much of the sets focus on Constellation, this is just good. Black got some more on-theme removal. Who would have thunk it? Right, guys? Right? Fellhide Petra Fire is a 3 mana man-cow bear bull. What? Sorry about that. Fellhide Petra Fire is 3 mana for a 2/3 Minotaur warrior with Death Touch, and all other Minotaur creatures you control have Death Touch. Block Minotaurs, Standard Minotaurs, Draft Minotaurs, Vintage Minotaurs, let's do it! Let's live the dream, guys. Minotaurs forever. Seriously though, this card is cool. 3 mana for a 2/3 Death Touch, not bad. Given the whole family Death Touch, delicious. Grim Guardian is 3 mana for a 1/4 enchantment creature zombie with Constellation. Whenever his Constellation triggers, each opponent loses 1 life. It's pretty straightforward, not much to talk about here. Except for the fact that there should be a petition to make enchantment creatures zombies a creature type in every set, along with zombie tree folk. I mean, come on, how cool are those? Nightmarish End is 3 mana for an instant speed black removal spell. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. This is a fine turn 3 removal spell unlimited. I'll certainly play it. It's a nice way to get around indestructibility, and it's good to have in case your other 15,000 black removal spells can't do the job. Moving on, we have Nyx's Infusion. It's cool art. 3 mana for an enchant creature aura. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 as long as it's an enchantment. Otherwise, it gets a -2/-2. Didn't we just go over... So we have another black removal spell. Sure, it can give +2/+2, but come on. This can be used as removal, which means, you know, it'll be used as removal. It's a black removal spell. Again. Freecos Chosen is 1 black mana for a 1/1 Death Touch snake. That art is terrifying. You guys remember Sedge Scorpion? I loved that card. If you go back and watch the video where I talk about it, you'll see just how much I loved it. Nunchucks were involved, it's not important. Anyways, this card is good. It'll stall your opponent for a while unless they're playing black, in which case they'll just use any card in their deck to kill it, but other than that, it stalls. No one wants to trade anything with a 1 mana 1/1, ever. Just keep that in mind. Returned Revelers, 2 mana for a 1/3 zombie satyr. When it dies, each player puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. This is the early game mill I was talking about. You play this, then just throw it at the biggest thing you can find. The card's okay. 3 toughness is nice for defense, but it won't make any real waves. Rotted Hulk is a 4 mana 2/5 elemental. Spiteful Blow is 6 mana for a sorcery. Destroy target creature and target land. Some sweet art. Anyway, 6 mana removal spell with land destruction. Wizards really doesn't want land destruction as a thing, so putting it on any card automatically raises the casting cost by at least 3. Spiteful Blow is interesting, but it isn't in the same situation that Sip of Hemlock was in when it was drafted a lot. There's much more removal to work with now. People will take this card, and I'm not saying they shouldn't, but it won't be as high of a pick as Sip was. Next up is the creepiest art of the set, Thought Render Lamia. 6 mana for a 5/3 enchantment creature with Constellation. Whenever the Constellation triggers, each opponent discards a card. I love the ability. Discard trigger effects can be very powerful. It's just the cost of the card that sets it back. A 5/3 body is nice to have, but unless you're drafting against a super late game control deck, top decking is a thing. If you can get this out early enough when your opponent still has cards left, it'll get some real value. Otherwise, just beat something in the face with it. The last black card we're looking at today is Tormented Thoughts, a 3 mana sorcery. As an additional cost to casting it, sacrifice a creature. Target player discards a number of cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power. This is a discard ability I can get into. If you find yourself playing a graveyard-based black-green deck during draft or sealed, this could come in handy. It's cheap enough that you can still use it while they have a lot of cards in their hand. Even if you wait until turn 4 or 5, by then they should only have their bombs left, which is the perfect time to strike. Sacrificing something with 3 power to potentially grab the rest of their hand is powerful. We've made it through the rest of the black cards in Journey into Nyx. I think it's clear that removal is a pretty big deal. How many of you think there's just too much of it? How many of you wish they reprinted Force of Will, Counterspell, and Wrath of God? How weird, me too. Anyways, remember to subscribe below for the latest and most reliable Journey into Nyx spoiler information you could ever need. This is the Mana Source, I'm Wedge, thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.